I have 9 o'clock. This is Vice Chair Doug LaBelle. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Michelle, would you read the introductory statement for me, please?
All matters noticed on this agenda in any category may be considered for action as listed. Any item not so noticed may not be considered. Items listed on this agenda may be considered in any order at the discretion of the chairperson. The mission of the OC Fair and Event Center is celebration of Orange County's communities, interest, agriculture, and heritage, with results justifying resources expended.
Thank you, Michelle. At this time, I'd like to ask Ken Carnes if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Doug. That'd be my honor. If you could all please stand if you're able, remove your hats if you're wearing any, and place your right hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag.
To the flag.
United States of America.
Of the United
States of America.
And to the republic.
For which it stands.
The republic for which it stands. One nation.
Under
God.
Under God.
Indivisible. With liberty and justice for all.
Indivisible. With liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ken. Summer, can you,
Thank you, Doug.
Please take the roll?
Yes, Vice Chair LaBelle.
Here.
Director Cervantes.
Here.
Director Ruiz. Oh, one more time, Director Ruiz.
Here.
Director Bonarice.
Here.
Director Aiken.
Here.
Director Pham.
Here.
And Director Kovacevic. Okay.
Thank you, Summer. We are now going to go into closed session. While the board is in closed session, Summer will compile or organize a list of those who wish to speak under public comments. And with that, we'll be going into closed session. I am now unmuted.
There you go.
All right. Summer, could you take roll again, please?
Sure. Vice Chair LaBelle.
Here.
Director Cervantes.
Here.
Director Ruiz.
Here.
Director Bonarice.
Here.
Director Aiken.
Here.
Director Pham.
Here.
And Director Kovacevic.
Here.
Thank you.
The board received advice of counsel on the closed session items listed on the agenda, and we have nothing to report at this time. Okay, I just wanted to mention that item 10B on the agenda will be carried over until the January meeting. The Financial Monitoring and Audit Committee will be preparing, or will be making a report under the governance portion of the agenda. With that, I'd like to turn it over to CEO Richards for her operational update.
There we go. Good morning, everybody, and happy holidays. I have just a few things to report on. Our landscaping department has been working with Centennial Farm staff to bring 15 students from Stanbridge University's Vet Tech program to perform health exams on the berm goats and the donkeys and the newly arrived llama, who are taking care of weed abatement on the Pacific Amphitheater berm. In March, those students will be on site to examine the animals on the berm and at Centennial Farm as part of their educational program. They will be conducting routine health screenings, hoof trimmings, and pregnancy checks. It's a great opportunity for the animals to get some extra TLC and for the vet tech students to practice some of the skills that they've been learning in class. For the second time this year, the OC Fair and Event Center's Equestrian Center was activated by OC Animal Care as an emergency large animal evacuation center during the recent bonfire. We housed 21 horses during the emergency. Happily, all of them have been safely returned home at this time. So first came the announcement that the OC Fair won the OC Register's People Choice Award for the best fair or festival in Orange County. Then came Parenting OC Magazine's Reader Choice Award for 2020. And last week, we were thrilled to learn that we were also voted the best fair and festival by the readers of the Times OC. It's amazing that our fair fans continue to support us even in a year when the OC Fair was canceled. Adding to that, each year, the OC Fair enters the Western Fairs Association Achievement Awards in various categories. The Merrill Award, named after Western Fair Association's founder, Lewis Merrill, is given for, quote, those entries that clearly demonstrate innovation, vision, and excellence, unquote. We also learned last week that our entry from the community support category has been nominated for this prestigious Merrill Award. OC Fair and Event Center was nominated for our emergency food distribution in conjunction with Power of One Foundation, for the COVID testing that we're doing in partnership with the county, for our produce donations from Centennial Farm going to the OC Food Bank, and for matching 4-H and FFA livestock students with potential buyers since the junior livestock auction had to be canceled. The Merrill Award winner will be announced during the virtual WFA convention on January 6th. The California Department of Food and Agriculture announced recently that it was seeking applications from state employees who were interested in the vital work of increasing diversity, equity, equality, inclusion, and parity within the department. I'm very proud to announce that Thane Holman, our guest experience supervisor, and Esther Ducey, our finance director, both applied to serve on the new committee. And we learned last week that they had been selected for this committee, and their service at the state level will certainly help support the work of our new Community Affairs Committee. So we're looking forward to their contributions at that state level. We also wanted to keep the board and the public in the loop regarding ongoing discussions in Sacramento about alternative operating models for district ag associations. During a general meeting of fair CEOs, CDFA representatives, and WFA members on December 10th, specifically regarding COVID, the topic of alternative operating models was raised. It was communicated that a proposal for a joint powers authority model was shared with California Ag Secretary Karen Ross and her deputy secretaries. It was apparently positively received by Secretary Ross, and she indicated that she would be sharing it with Governor Newsom this week. I asked the same question in this meeting that Director Aiken asked in a previous call. What, if anything, is required of us at the 32nd District Ag Association? The answer was a very clear nothing. Participation in any JPA approved by the state would be entirely optional. And Director Aiken, I don't know if you have anything you wanted to add from the previous call that we were on together.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to make it clear to our public as we go through this process that they had 3 public workshops of the network being the 77 fairgrounds in the state of California. The call made up of fair CEOs, members of the public, members of the board of directors, and they at the time were indicating no final decisions are going to be made. They're just looking for input for fairs that do want to change their model. And as CEO Richards alluded to, one of my concerns was, if we do nothing, is a decision going to be made for us? And they were very adamant that the 32nd DAA, if we choose, can remain in our current structure and no change will be mandated by the state. So I think that's really good for the model that we have set up. And I just want to assuage any fears that our local public may have that we will not be seeking to change our structure in Orange County.
Okay. Our financials for the month ending November 30th, and I know the Financial Monitoring Committee will have a little more of a detailed report, but our year-to-date revenue ending the period November 30th, as you can see, was $47.3 million unfavorable to budget. However, we continue to do a great job of controlling our expenses. We are $29.6 million favorable to budget. Overall, though, we are seeing a net deficit to budget at this point of $17.7 million. Our cash on hand and investments, so our total cash and cash equivalents at this point is $42.8 million. That's a $13.5 million decrease over the same period last year, or 24% decrease. And as we have done every month since the pandemic hit, and will continue to do throughout 2021, is to report what our position is, our projected position against budget by the end of the year, and also our projected cash position for the end of the year. Our position has not changed since reported last month. We're still projecting a $16.7 million deficit to budget. That's actually about a $2.2 million improvement over our original estimate way back in April, when we projected an $18.5 million deficit to budget. But we believe we'll come in about $16.7 million at this point. And then originally reported, we projected our cash position at the end of 2020 to be $38.3 million, but we, due to our reforecasting and some additional events that we've recorded as revenue, as well as cost containment, we're now projecting a $40.8 million cash position by the end of the year. So I'd like to turn it over now to Joan Hamill, who will have a brief events report.
Thank you, Michelle. Great. Happy holidays. I want to say that we are so delighted to announce that Winterfest Night of Lights made its debut on December 10th. Originally scheduled to open a week prior, the news just before Thanksgiving that the state was going back into purple tier with the new stay-at-home orders to include the nightly curfew, put the event on a temporary hold. After much work and several Zoom meetings with the Orange County Healthcare Agency, the promoter persevered, retooled the event and the nightly closing time, and was able to make Night of Lights a reality. A special thank you goes out to Costa Mesa Mayor Katrina Foley for her support and always being a friend to OC Fair and Event Center, as well as the event and the promoter. Mayor Foley and Fair CEO Richards opened the event last week by flipping the switch to light up the Christmas tree to have the event start officially. And what a wonderful reimagined event Night of Light is. It's a spectacular 1 mile meandering adventure through a magical winter scenes and a multitude of holiday lights. Reviews on social media have been positive, and we're proud to host the event at OC Fair. Tickets for reserved time slots through January 10th, which are selling out quickly, can be found at nightoflightsoc.com. In our continuing events, Power of One emergency food assistance drive-through distribution. The final one for the year is Saturday, the 19th, right here on the fairgrounds. Centennial Farm and Heroes Hall Courtyard are both open in a limited capacity per health and safety guidelines through Orange County Healthcare Agency. COVID-19 testing is ongoing, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday by appointment only. Visit 360 Clinic MD for details. I skipped over the Christmas tree lot. Tomorrow, excuse me, is the final day to come to the OC Fair and Event Center to come on site to purchase your Christmas tree or your wreath. And lastly, the farmers market taking place every Thursday with the exception of December 24th and 31st, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So today is the last day, last opportunity before the end of the year to shop local until 2021. Moving on to 2021, in February will be a wonderful event, the Jurassic Quest drive-through. This is an established event, originally a walkthrough event. This very popular Jurassic Quest experience has been reimagined to be a drive-through event now to go with the times. The new Jurassic Quest drive-through features over 70 lifelike dinosaurs, including T-Rex, Triceratops, and more. These animatronic dinosaurs are displayed in realistic scenes that allow guests to experience them roaring and moving from their own vehicle. The dinosaurs, not the well, maybe people inside the cars will be roaring as well, as they drive their way through the tour, guided by an engaging and informative digital audio. The experience lasts about an hour, and as mentioned, guests stay in their vehicle the entire time. Tickets start at $49 per vehicle, and for more information, JurassicQuest.com is the place to go. And that concludes my report, and I'd like to wish everyone a happy holidays.
I have to really hand it to our promoters who are doing such a fabulous job of turning their events that used to be inside buildings into wonderful drive-through experiences for our community. So rest assured, we'll continue to have some great entertainment at the OC Fair and Event Center. So that concludes my CEO update.
Does any board member have any questions of Michelle or Joan? Okay, if not, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from the November 19th meeting. Is there a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
This is Sandra. I so moved that I approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay. Sandra moved to approve, Robert second. Summer, can you call the roll, please?
Vice Chair LaBelle,
Yes.
Director Cervantes,
Yes.
Director Ruiz,
Yes.
Director Aiken,
Yes.
Director Bonaris,
Yes.
Director Pham,
Yes.
and Director Kovacevic.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Summer. Next item is matters of public comment. Michelle, would you introduce the matters of public comment for me, please?
Yes, I would be happy to. Public comment is allowed on issues not on the current agenda. However, no debate by the board shall be permitted on such public comments, and no action will be taken on such public comment items at this time, as law requires formal public notice prior to any action on a docket item. Speakers are requested to sign in prior to the start of the meeting and are limited to 3 minutes. Comments will be accepted on agenda items during the meeting. Speakers wishing to address the board on items on the agenda are requested to sign in prior to the start of the meeting and identify the agenda items on which you desire to address the board. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes.
Summer, could you announce the first 3 speakers, please?
Yes, we actually only have 4. So it's Cindy Macero, followed by Kelly Avakian, Todd Martin, and Lisa Sabo. Cindy, when you're ready.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Orange County Fair Board. Thank you for your service to our community and making our fairgrounds a place of pride in our city, county, and state. I too want to thank you for how you have adjusted and worked events in different ways to try to make our fairgrounds useful during this time of shutdown. So thank you and good job on that. Flying at the Orange County Fairgrounds is our United States of America national flag, our state of California flag, and the Orange County fairgrounds flag. Additionally, one other flag is also flown year-round, the LGBTQ Pride flag. This flag is being flown year-round, not just during Pride Month. Over a year ago, this board decided to fly this one particular special interest flag to make people that this flag represents feel included and welcome. However, there are other groups that would also like to be recognized and feel included and welcomed by having their flags flown. It seems right, fair, welcoming, and inclusive to recognize these other groups' flags as well. If only one single special interest flag is flown, other groups will feel disenfranchised if their flags are not also recognized. I am glad to hear that the Community Affairs Committee, is planning on taking up this flag issue, but I am concerned about how long this could take, given that the Diversity Committee was formed and dissolved before accomplishing any projects, and 6 months has passed without even an agenda item or discussion being held on this flag issue. I am asking the board to resolve this today. I know you cannot take up issues and resolve them today, but my resolution I am asking for is for you to take up the issue, put it on your agenda for next month, and resolve to remove this one special interest flag until the Community Affairs Committee acts. I look forward to a fair and equitable resolution to fly other groups' flags for equal and fair inclusion, or simply removing any and all special interest flags. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Kelly Avakian, when you're ready.
Right, thank you. I agree with the caller, but for me, I have noticed that there's an American flag at the fairgrounds, there's the state of California and the LGBT flag, and we've been taking up this issue for 6 months. I have kids who are highly involved in the fairgrounds, especially during the fair, Imaginology, like every event possible. They're involved with Future Farmers of America. I think the fairground should represent that. My kids are involved with 4-H. The fairground should represent that. My oldest, was one of the USA representatives to compete in the World Championship because she did the equestrian sport vaulting at the fairgrounds. So she has a title from UCEF, which is the United States Equestrian Federation, and a medal from FEI, which is the global horse flag, horse symbol. So I really feel like you guys need to start flying other flags, especially ones that represent our community, especially ones that represent the fairgrounds for the least of it. My kids are also involved with sports and highly involved in the community. So I feel like we need to start having all the flags flown and not just the particular LGBT one, because I know we're a whole entire family of inclusion. And I would like the resolution to take this up on the agenda because 6 months has passed. And I too am concerned how long this is going to go on. So when my kids hear me on the phone calls month after month after month, still not getting their flags put up that represents them, that have to do with the fairgrounds, it's a little concerning to show them, yeah, I guess nothing does get done in city council. I'm not sure, because this has been 6 months of just a simple issue or resolution to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Todd Martin, when you're ready.
Hello and good morning. Hey, thank you guys for being here so early to hear us out. I know this is kind of a busy time of year, and I know you guys are carving into your free time, so I appreciate it. I could definitely echo what was said by Cindy and Kelly in regards to, for me, I feel frustrated because I don't feel included. You know, like this is supposed to be an inclusive kind of thing, and flying the flags. And I too know of a number of different organizations. I know there's many religious organizations throughout our city that would love to fly a flag and very passionate about it. And I agree. I feel the same way, and I would love to feel included in that respect. And the fact that nothing has been done, as Cindy and Kelly said, and I agree, it's frustrating to see us bring this up over and over again and not be addressed in any way, shape, or form. And I'm wondering why. So if there is a true spirit of inclusion here, if that's what you guys are shooting for, I'd like to see that with actions, and not just us showing up every month or so or whatever it is to share our opinions again and ask for some kind of action. So please consider this and put this on our next meeting so we can discuss it and go move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Todd. Lisa Sabo, when you're ready.
Okay, are you there?
Go ahead, Lisa. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for taking my call. I want to read into the record a letter that we put together from the Orange County Fairgrounds Preservation Society. Dear OC Fairgrounds board members, CEO, and the Fairgrounds staff, throughout the history of the Orange County Fairgrounds Preservation Society, we have consistently aspired to an open, meaningful sharing of ideas with the OCEC's executive team, fair staff, stakeholders, and most importantly, the Orange County Fairgrounds community. We all share the passion for this amazing public treasure that has been a part of our lives for decades. As 2020 ends, we collectively reflect on these past many months. We would be remiss if we were not to extend our most sincere gratitude for the ongoing commitment to transparency and public participation process in helping shape the future. We are pleased with the choice of technology used at the public meetings during the pandemic has allowed public to participate in real time. This high standard exceeds what other agencies have adopted. It is appreciated and provided an important connection to the community. The OCFEC staff and Fair Board directors are to be commended for their collaborative efforts in working together towards the enhanced and more rewarding community center for all. Here's to an exciting and successful 2021. Happy holidays from Lisa Sabo, the president of the Orange County Fairgrounds Preservation Society, and all of the board members. And I also just want to tell you for the board members and the staff, sometimes this is on the side, sometimes it seems like a thankless job, but myself, I just have deep gratitude and just heartfelt thankfulness for all the time you do. And I get it that the board members, it's a volunteer position. And through this time in this last year pandemic, you've done an incredible job. And so thank you so much. And then one last little thing that I want to say is we had a little problem with the fire in the canyons a few weeks ago. And in the next month, we need to continue to work on the fairgrounds opening the gates when people come in the middle of the night to be rescued by the fire. But that's a big issue on the side. And Gibran Stout has done a great job communicating, I think, with Michelle and the staff and coming up with a plan that helps the evacuation side of the Orange County Fairgrounds to become better. And I want to be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. So when there is a fire, we need to be able to let horses and animals and livestock onto the property.
Okay,
But,
thank you, Lisa. That's time.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
That's all that I have for public comment, unless there are any other speakers that would like to speak.
Thank you, Summer. With no further speakers, that would conclude public comments. At this time, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Michelle, would you please read the overview of the consent calendar?
All matters listed under consent calendar are operational matters about which the board has governing policies, implementation of which is delegated to the CEO. They will be enacted in one motion. There will be no discussion of these items prior to the time the board of directors votes on the motion, unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific items to be discussed separately and/or removed from this section. Any member of the public who wishes to discuss consent calendar items should notify the chair of the board at the time requested and be recognized by invitation of the board to address the board. Vice Chair LaBelle, staff does have, would like to clarify 2 items on the consent calendar, but I'll stop to see if anyone else has any items that they'd like to pull.
Does the board have any items they'd like to pull from the consent calendar? Okay, with that, Michelle, why don't you go through the 2 items that you wanted to speak with or speak to?
Sure. There are 2 items that have been deleted from the agenda under standard agreements SA 006-21SM. That is a standard agreement for the contractor who assists us with sound monitoring and mitigation. That contract is the result of a competitive RFP process, but there has been a protest filed on that RFP. So as soon as we get a decision or further direction from the Department of General Services, who will be reviewing that protest, we will leave that standard agreement unauthorized and we'll bring it back to the board at such time that a decision has been rendered on that protest. Under rental agreements, item 9B, rental agreement R12520 was scratched from the consent calendar. This is a very small and simple rental agreement for a camping space in conjunction with the Night of Lights. It's a camping space that that a member of the staff has rented. Unfortunately, because of the recent executive order from the governor's office, we learned that camping was not permitted. And so we deleted that from the agenda. However, the Orange County Healthcare Agency clarified and approved that 1 camping spot. So we will bring that back on the agenda, the consent calendar for January for approval. And that's all we have.
Thank you, Michelle. Are there any members of the public that have items they would like to have pulled from the consent calendar?
I don't have anybody that was identified earlier unless there's anybody now.
Thank you, Summer. With that and with Michelle's items that she is pulling, do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Sandra Cervantes, I so move that we approve the consent calendar.
Ashley,
Okay.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Summer, could you please call the roll?
Vice Chair LaBelle,
Yes.
Director Cervantes,
Yes.
Director Ruiz,
Yes.
Director Bonaris,
Yes.
Director Aiken,
Yes.
Director Pham,
Yes.
and Director Kovacevic.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Summer. Okay, we'll now move on to the next portion of the agenda, which would be the governance process. We do have various committee reports. These are just advisory back to the full board. I would like to go ahead and start out with the leadership committee. The chair, myself, and Michelle met yesterday with Rick Hansen, who is the operator of the Equestrian Center and has been the operator for a number of years. Purpose of that meeting was to just begin a process of getting an update on what is occurring at the Equestrian Center. I would add at this point, as I've mentioned on several occasions, and the board has also, that the Equestrian Center is a very important part of the event center, and we are wanting to look towards doing what we can to expand its outreach into the community. Right now, it is essentially a boarding facility that has various training activities occurring on site, all of which is good. But we're wanting to, as a committee, to look at what we can do to incorporate the Equestrian Center into the various promotion or production things that we do as a fair and event center, namely Imaginology and the and the annual fair so that we can expand and get as much community involvement in terms of knowing what we have there, what the resources there. And in that regard, we are going to move forward with a modeling study, if you will, in terms of what the various options are for the board to ultimately consider. We are very fortunate in having an individual that has extensive knowledge of the Orange County Fair and Event Center operations and is also involved in equestrian activities. And I think he's familiar to all of us, and that would be Doug Lostrom. Michelle has reached out to Doug to see if he would be willing to assist us over the next several months and looking at various modeling options that would be available to the Fair Board. The committee intends to continue engaging with Rick Hansen as well as other stakeholders. And our objective is within the next 3 to 4 months to be bringing back to the board for policy direction various options relative to the equestrian center. And with that, that would conclude my comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I'm sure Michelle would as well, that the board may have at this time. No questions? Okay, let's move on to the Financial Monitoring Committee. Newton or Barbara, any comments that you would like to make at this time?
So, no, the committee's been rejiggered to the Financial Monitoring and Audit Committee at this point. We did review the financials with staff last week. Overall, I think the sentiment is, we're tracking a budget, but actually slightly improved. As Michelle stated earlier, the budget reforecast is indicating a net deficit of 16.7 million by the end of this year, which is a $1.8 million improvement from the the prior reforecast in May. We're projecting cash balances at the end of the year to be 40.8 million. We also reviewed the 2019 draft audit. Overall results of the audit were positive. There was one recommendation for an MD&A or management discussion analysis report, which is typical and wasn't necessarily and historically been done. The committee did make the recommendation that we should incorporate this, just trying to get a sense of what the checklist will be at this point in time, whether we want to integrate into this current 2019 audit or do it on a go forward basis. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Newton. Ashley, do you have any comments on behalf of the Facilities Committee at this time?
I think Chair Ruiz is going to give an update on our meeting.
Very good.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, we had a really good meeting last week, and we discussed some of the state contract policy codes that we are going to adopt and introduce to the board next month. We believe this language that is through the state of California will work for us here at the fairgrounds, and it'll work for any contractor who is going to be bidding work on our site. Again, it was a very productive meeting, and we hope to introduce that language in the meeting in January, and hopefully, wrap that up in January. Again, I want to thank Director Aiken for being there as part of that meeting, and looking forward to the meeting in January to get this done.
Thank you, Robert. In terms of the Governance Committee, Sandra, do you have any comments at this time?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. The Community Affairs Committee, Nick, any Any update that you would like to provide at this time?
Actually, I'll let Director Ruiz go first, and I'll follow up after that.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, we met on December the 4th with the staff, and we had again another great meeting, and we talked about gathering input from the initiatives that we want to take on. And so what we are going to do is we're going to conduct a survey of the general public regarding what issues they want to bring to this committee. What we did is we kicked around the idea of getting the public involved, being more transparent, and so we want to conduct public Zoom meetings starting January, hopefully January 20th at 4 p.m. We're gonna be announcing that. That way we can get more input from the general public. One of the issues that we do plan to take on is the flag issue. We're finally gonna do that, but we wanna get more input from the public when we start having this public meeting in January. We wanna discuss other issues as well. And some of the other topics that we discuss that we plan to address would be having community displays at district properties, like, of course, the flags. We're gonna discuss that come January. We also discussed diversity, equality, inclusion at the fairgrounds. One that will include special cultural days, like cultural exhibits, food offerings, and things of that nature, and entertainment as well. Interest by the public has been great, and so we plan to include them as part of our committee meetings, as well as district employees. So we hope to have a lot of public input in this, because again, we do want to address very important issues. We don't want to keep kicking the can of flag thing down the road, and we want to take on that, and we plan on doing that starting the new year. So having said that, I look forward to the meeting coming in January, the public meeting. It should be very informative, and we hope to get a lot of input from the public as well. Director Kovacevic, unless you have something else to add.
No, I think you did a great job of explaining the events. I hope everybody understands that there's challenges with sometimes process flow. We experienced that with the original formation of the committee, and that kind of caused the delay. So I hope everyone understands that the board and the committee is committed to addressing these important issues in a timely fashion. We were delayed, but it feels good to now be on the right track. If you do want to share additional input on these issues, such as the flag issue, you'll be seeing a survey coming, as Director Ruiz mentioned, and we would really appreciate everyone's insight in completing that survey, and then also further discussion at the public meeting, as Director Ruiz mentioned, on January 20th. Again, we would welcome your input, and then after gathering that input from a broad base of the public and also the staff, at that point we'll be able to take the action that everybody's looking for. So again, there are other important issues outside the flag. I think we're going to be addressing those too. So a lot going to happen in the new year. Hope everybody's ready. And Director Ruiz and myself are certainly excited to push this along. So thank you.
Thank you, Nick and Robert. The Heroes Hall Veterans Foundation board, Sandra and I are the board's liaisons to the foundation. Just a quick update. As I mentioned at the last meeting, Sandy Stone has been retained by the Veterans Foundation to assist with fundraising efforts for us to, again, generate revenues that can come back into the Heroes Hall Veterans Museum for operating purposes and programming. Nick Baradino, the president of the foundation, has been very active in moving forward with a fundraising activity. I think probably most of you or all of you have received information on the activities underway. We are also in the process of doing some modifications to our website to enhance our ability to merge databases together and to basically expand our outreach. I want to give a special thanks to Michelle, Joan, and Carol for their assistance with Sandy Stone and Kathy Yatch in terms of helping to coordinate getting the word out to as many individuals as we can. I also wanted to indicate that I'm pleased to report that the foundation board will be making a recommendation to us at the January board meeting for an additional appointment to the Heroes Hall Veterans Foundation. The individual is currently being interviewed and discussed by the foundation, and I think we're going to have a recommendation forward for the January board meeting. With that, I'd have nothing further on that item unless Sandra would like to add anything additional in that area.
No, not at this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandra. Okay, that would conclude the governance process. We'll now move. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Vice Chair LaBelle. We do have two public speakers for this item for the committee reports. Reggie Mundakis, followed by Cindy Massaro. Reggie, when you're ready.
Hi, good morning. This is Reggie Mundakis. I'd just like to thank you for the new committee structure and clarification of committee expectations. I think this will be a great improvement going forward. I'd also like to thank the leadership committee for their work on the equestrian center issues. The Southern California area is seeing a change in the number and types of equestrian centers, where equestrian activity is becoming less accessible to many people, and certain groups such as Western riding and the Hispanic riding groups being left out of the picture. So I appreciate the work to do surveys and market research to find out what is viable going forward and how to build a better equestrian center. I appreciate the work of the Community Affairs Committee in doing a survey of the existing customers and looking to include more of our diverse community in the OC Fair, both in terms of entertainment, displays, and food. I was curious to find out if you're doing outreach to the chambers of commerce and the different ethnic neighborhoods like Little Saigon and Little Arabia to get input from those groups as far as what they would like to participate in both during the fair and year round. And then I'm finding this whole kerfuffle over the rainbow flag just very amusing. I'm finding it really difficult how a flag that represents many, many people of all kinds and represents a group which has stood up for the rights of everyone, all of a sudden is being seen as disenfranchisement of people. And with that, I'd like to point out what that rainbow flag means to me. It means that we are recognizing the many people who are members of the LGBT community who have suffered over the years. Among those is Lonnie Frisbee, who helped to found Calvary Chapel and the Vineyard Church movement and was pushed out when he came out of the closet and has been written out of the history of it. And if you want to learn more about it, there's a great documentary on Amazon Prime about Lonnie Frisbee. It's the same documentary that aired on Peep for a number of years. So just remember that when I see that flag, I think of Lonnie Frisbee and the way he was treated by Calvary Chapel and the Vineyard churches and others. So thank you.
Thank you, Reggie.
Cindy Massaro, when you're ready.
Yes, thank you so much. I really want to thank Director Bonaris, who initially brought up and voted against this flag being flown over a year ago. And I want to thank Directors Kovacevic and Ruiz for their commitment to taking up this issue, both on the Diversity Committee and now on this new committee. And so I want to thank you all for doing that. I really look forward to a resolution, and I'm grateful for the entire board hearing us and taking up what is important to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair LaBelle, that's it for public comment.
Thank you, Summer. Just to remind everyone that item 10B, as Newton indicated, is going to be carried over until the January board meeting. With that, we'll move on to item 10C, and I'll turn it over to, it's an information item, and I'll turn it over to Michelle Richards.
Thank you so much, Doug. As we have done for the last several months, we want to keep the public and the board apprised of our fair planning activities for 2021. As we've mentioned before, it's a very fluid process, one that we are staying in very close contact with the Orange County Healthcare Agency, emerging directives from the state level, and as you all know, an ever-changing landscape out there. So it's a challenge, but we're determined to bring something special about the fair, whatever that looks like, to the community in 2021. Let me start by summarizing the latest meeting that we had with Dr. Clayton Chow, who is the public health officer for Orange County. We met with Dr. Chow and another member of his staff last Friday, December 11th. Dr. Chow indicated that the goal now is for the Orange County community to reach a 60 to 75% immunity level in order for the fair to take place or for mass gatherings to return. And this is a bit of a revised number. Originally, it was a 65 to 80% immunity, but that's now been revised to 60 to 75%. Dr. Chow believes that by late March, we should know if the county is trending in the right direction. And that's going to be very helpful to the staff and the board as a point of when we might be able to make that decision about whether we can move forward with a modified fair. We were also encouraged to learn from Dr. Chow, based on the information he has regarding the vaccine distribution, that by late spring, early summer, so he's saying by the May, very early June timeframe, everyone in Orange County will be able to get the vaccine. So that was quite encouraging. He also asked for our help, and we most definitely agreed to help get the wording out in the market to encourage people to get the vaccine. So the Orange County Healthcare Agency will be launching an information campaign, and the OC Fair will do its part to help get that word out. A few more interesting bits of information regarding our planning. Our 2021 fair admission prices, our team is recommending that price remain the same, that there be no ticket increase. However, the OC Fair will be absorbing the fees for those advanced online orders, so that the customer, even though we are insisting on advanced ticket sales only online for health and safety reasons, the customer will not have to pay those fees. The OC Fair will absorb that, and that way we can have ticket prices remain the same. This is a recommendation that we're going to bring back to the board for approval in January. We are setting hours and days. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday will be considered our weekdays. We're suggesting being open from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then our weekends will consist of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And in our research, we've determined that Friday actually has as high a demand for attendance as Saturday and Sunday. So we'll lump that into a weekend, 10 a.m. to midnight. Our Fair Planning Committee is developing a go, no-go date recommendation for the board. So we'll be able to report on that in an upcoming board meeting so that everybody will understand the timing on when a decision will need to be made. The staff is also dual track planning for pivoting from a modified fair if those numbers are not trending where we need them to be by March, that we'll be able to move from a modified fair to a vehicle-based fair experience in the event that the in-person fair cannot be held. And that vehicle-based fair experience would look something like a very kicked up version of the fair food drive-through. So there'd be lots of opportunities for people to enjoy fair food, but there'll be components that include entertainment, exhibits, animals, etc., for people to enjoy. So rest assured there will be something from the OC Fair this summer. And of course, we are continuing to work with RCS on ride lists and layouts, and Dr. Chow and his staff are heavily involved in that, in advising us on what would work and what wouldn't work. And then of course, we're continuing regular meetings with Spectra, having discussions on the food and beverage elements. One thing that we have made a decision on, and this is in consultation with Dr. Chow, is that walking around the fair with, as people are eating and drinking and needing to take off a mask for that purpose is not doable. And so we would create food and beverage gardens, seating areas, large seating areas where people can sit and eat, and they won't be meandering through the fair with their masks off while they're enjoying their food. So just a few updates that we have, and of course we'll continue to keep the board and the public apprised as we go along this journey. I'm happy to take any questions that the board might have.
Are there any questions from board members? Summer, are there any public comments from the audience?
No, we don't have any for this item.
Okay, I have just a couple of comments. I know we're all very hopeful and optimistic that the vaccines that are on the market and the ones that are coming to market very soon are going to have a significant impact on the reducing the COVID-19 pandemic. One of the things that I think we should be looking at kind of as plan C, if you will, and I'm very comfortable with what Michelle has outlined in terms of the fair in the summer at its normal time, or the virtual drive-through. I think as we get later in the year, based upon the things that I read and hear, by September, October, obviously there are going to be more individuals that have been vaccinated, and the COVID-19 situation is going to be reduced, hopefully accordingly. I think Plan C might be looking at a fair in late September, early to mid-October. And I guess I would ask Michelle, is that something that is even feasible relative to the other operations that are going on out there? And if so, what should we be looking at to move forward with that as a third backup?
Certainly an option, and a good option as well, Doug. It does take a ton more coordination, as there are other fairs and the routing of the carnival, and our food concessionaires and merchants, but it's certainly doable. If we get to that point in March and it doesn't look like we're trending in the right direction, that we could we could recommend alternative dates. We've already spoken with our RCS about that possibility. We've thrown it out to the other larger fairs in Southern California, so we're not stepping all over each other, but it's definitely a viable option, and one that we'll continue to consider as we move along in our planning.
Very good. In that regard, I don't think we should spend a lot of time right now doing that, but perhaps Dan and Lisa could be looking at options. I know we've moved a number of the performers in the PAC amp have agreed or indicated that they would be willing to certainly perform in the Pacific Amphitheater in the summer months. Maybe we could begin looking at what options might be available there and in the hangar for later on in the year, should that prove to be the most viable way to go. So that would conclude my comments. Are there any other thoughts the board or public might have at this point in time?
This is Sandra Cervantes, and I just wanted to make a quick comment. Obviously, with change, there's always some amount of resistance. One of the largest obstacles that I might see is that now, if you're on a plane and you wear your mask, but if you're drinking something or eating something that they give you, you take your mask off. So the specific assigned areas for eating might need a lot of visibility and exposure with a lot of time in advance in order for that to take place with the appropriate distancing, but very, very doable.
Thank you, Sandra. If there are no further comments, we'll move on to item D, and that's a presentation by the CEO in terms of the budget letter for this year. Michelle?
The board suggested this last year. We completed a budget summary letter and wanted to continue that with this year. The budget summary letter is a narrative, if you will, about the budget. So for those that maybe are not as comfortable reading detailed financial reports, this kind of puts in words what the budget is all about for 2021. So we have posted this, copies are available for the board, obviously, and then we've posted the letter for the public as well. The letter starts off with some operational highlights from 2020. That's kind of an interesting read, given all the challenges that we had going into this year. And then a narrative about the 2021 budget, an overview of how it was built, and specifically the assumptions that staff used to create the budget. There's also a statement that just as soon as the board approved the budget in last month's meeting, and we know when the calendar flips over to January and that budget goes into effect, that we will likely need to reforecast just as soon as the new year begins due to the ever-changing environment that we're currently operating in. So I know I said it before, but I want to recommit that every month we will provide the board with a reforecast of the budget as things are changing, as we're able to come online with more and more events, generate more revenue, and then of course our efforts in controlling costs as well. And that way we'll be able to track all along the way how we're doing against budget. The letter also includes an overview of our plan for capital and major projects. And as you know, the list has greatly been reduced from previous years as we control costs and then try to focus on those items that are related to health and safety and security of the property. There is a spreadsheet that details the budget by department, if anyone's interested in that. And then just a summary where I certainly want to thank the staff that did an excellent job of preparing this budget under quite extraordinary circumstances. Certainly to the board of directors and especially to the Financial Monitoring Committee for your constant support, your advice, your guidance, and then also to the public. We very much appreciate the public's involvement in the process of operating the OC Fair, and also your thoughtful feedback throughout the year and your positive comments to us during the budget study session. So this, as Doug said, this is an information item, but That letter is available to anyone who's interested in getting a little overview of the 2021 budget.
Thank you, Michelle. Summer, are there any public comments on this item?
We have none.
Thank you. Any board comments regarding the letter prepared by the CEO? I would just say that it's outstanding. I find it very, very informative to be able to look back at words relating to the dollars in the budget, and I think it's a very useful document in terms of reminding all of us, the board and the public, of what the budget process is, what it includes, what the challenges are. So I would extend my compliments to Michelle and the staff for an excellent job in that regard. Okay, next item is item E on the agenda relative to the RFP process. I would turn that over to CEO Richards for her report, and it is an action item.
Is an action item. So previously, the board had requested that all RFPs in the year be reviewed and approved by one of the board committees, the one most appropriate to whatever the topic happens to be. So a review of that RFP before it's released. Staff is requesting that the board reconsider this procedure and determine whether or not that procedure is still needed for the list of RFPs for 2021. There are certain RFPs for which the staff will request the board's review and approval because of the importance of that service or the complexity of that service to our operations, or the financial impact to the organization. But if you look at this list of anticipated RFPs for 2021, they are highly operational. We want to be certainly conscientious of the board's time, knowing that you're all working people, you know, and see if you're open for discussion on which, if any, RFPs the board committees would like to be involved in. The one that we absolutely want board involvement in the RFP process is the carnival. Again, because of its financial impact, because of the complexity of that RFP. But as you can see, the others are very operational. So I'd like to maybe open that up for discussion and input by the board.
Are there any public comments relative to this item?
No, there are not.
Okay. Board members, and any comments relative to what is being proposed by Michelle?
This is Director Aiken. I really appreciate you bringing these to the forefront. I think it's important not just for the board, but for the public to kind of be exposed to the process. Not everybody, some people are very familiar with RFPs, some people aren't. So especially with our larger ones, just kind of explaining the process, not just to the board, but to the public, I think is really helpful. So I really appreciate you bringing this forward in such an organized fashion.
Thank you, Ashley. Nick, did you have a comment?
No, that was not me. Go ahead.
I did.
That was Robert. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Director Reese, I would agree with Michelle's presentation and her recommendation. I think Carnival is huge and we should be involved. You know, we are all busy. I know I probably wouldn't have the time to be involved in that. I trust, you know, Michelle and the staff would do, you know, the right and responsible thing, but I'm in agreement with that. I think Carnival is pretty huge. If we could have someone of the board be involved with that, that would be great. So I would agree with Michelle's recommendation.
Hi, this is Sandra Cervantes. First, I have a question about how many RFPs are we talking about, give or take, for the year? And if we're not looking at a huge amount, I would rather see some form of consistency. And if the approval needs to take place, then let's be consistent and all of them get approved. If there's a million RFPs throughout the entire year, then obviously it's a different story, but I'd love to see consistency of the board deciding and the public having the information of, you know, what's important and what's not important, because sometimes what's important and what's not important is a perceived interpretation of who's interpreting that information.
Thank you, Sandra. A couple of thoughts along that line. First of all, with this being presented to the board as a part of the budget review process, first through the Financial Monitoring and Audit Committee, and then ultimately to the full board, we're made clearly aware of the RFPs that staff is proposing to move forward with. I think through that process, if an individual board member has a specific area that they would like to focus on, you know, we would have the opportunity to do that through the budget process. I sort of see it as kind of a twofold process. We have operational issues. I personally would have no desire in being involved in the golf cart rental process. And you know, it's an operational issue that I think staff is very clearly very more capable of doing. We'll obviously have the opportunity before they start the process, when this is presented to us in the budget, and at the end of the process, when we consider it as an action item on the agenda. There are other areas that are policy related, that are kind of more big picture sort of things. And obviously the Carnival RFP is certainly one of those. The entertainment RFP that Ashley and I participated in. There are other things that'll be coming forward that are more policy related. I guess another good example is the governance process and going through that RFP. So I think if we can focus on the big picture stuff, the policy issues, not only dollar amounts, but things that have a significant potential impact regardless of the dollar amount in terms of board policy, those would be the kind of things that I think should come before us. And the other items, I think I was one of the several board members that suggested that we be apprised of these. And, you know, I'm very comfortable with separating out the operation from the policy areas. And then obviously an individual board member who may have a particular interest or desire in a given area certainly has the opportunity to engage with the CEO and staff to get comfortable with whatever that RFP is. So
Director
those would be
LaBelle?
my, yes.
Yes, Director LaBelle, Director Bonaris, I would agree wholeheartedly with what you just stated. Also, Director Aiken Ruiz. I believe that these RFPs, we do have opportunity to make input as we go along. So let's just deal with the ones that have the most impact that we might want to review separately. So I would agree with what you just stated.
Well, this is Sandra Cervantes, and I so move that we move forward and approve.
Is there a second?
This is Ashley. Second.
Okay, the motion then would be to move forward with the recommendation from the CEO that operational issues be handled by staff, big picture policy issues be addressed by the board. And if there's a specific area that an individual board member is interested in, they can obviously reach out to the CEO for input and guidance. Is that the essence of the motion? Everybody good with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Summer, can you, if we're ready, Summer, can you take roll, please?
Vice Chair LaBelle,
Yes.
Director Cervantes,
Yes.
Director Ruiz,
Yes.
Director Bonaris,
Yes.
Director Aiken,
Yes.
Director Pham,
Yes.
and Director Kovacevic.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, that brings us to the end of the agenda. And at this point in time, I'd like to afford each of the directors the opportunity to make any final comments. And following that, we will adjourn to our January 28th board meeting. Let's start with Director Aiken. Any comments?
Thank you so much. Just wanted to wish everybody a happy holiday season and stay safe. I can't wait for this year to be over. I think that our staff has done such an amazing job, as have my fellow board members, in being able to pivot, being able to navigate, being able to really just be creative. I've been so impressed with everybody on this board and in the staff for all their hard work. And real just dedication to this amazing endeavor that we're all a part of. So with that, thank you and happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you, Ashley. Director Bonaris.
Yes, I would just like to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, Kwanzaa. Whatever you celebrate, have an enjoyable and safe holiday. I would like to also thank the staff, all of the staff at the fairgrounds. This has been one heck of a year, and we're going to have to carry it into next year, unfortunately. I wish that at midnight on December 31st, it would just all disappear. But we know that we have a little more time to go with this, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. So just thank you for those that had to work from home or come in and out of the office. We really, really appreciate all that you do. And I want to wish my fellow board members happy holidays as well. And this comment about the new committee structure, it was long overdue. I love the structure, and I think we're going to get great benefit from having this streamlined process. So thank you, everybody. Enjoy your holidays. Be safe.
Thank you, Barbara. Director Cervantes.
Yes, happy holidays to all. Merry Christmas. And a special thanks to all of the staff. Everybody has worked so hard into adding a lot of extra joy to people's lives in a time that has really been a trying year for all. And thank you to all of the board members. And again, happy New Year as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sandra. Director Kovacevic.
Yeah, I just want to echo everyone's comments. Happy holidays. Look forward to seeing everyone next year. 2020 was a very difficult year, and I think we can't say enough about the way that the staff was able to navigate the numbers, the budget that they were able to make despite the challenges is impressive. Obviously, the board played their part in navigating a challenging year. And it feels really good to come to the end of the year with a light at the end of the tunnel. The vaccines recently hitting California, and we know next year will be challenging, but not quite as challenging as this year. And I have every bit of confidence in the staff and the board's ability to maximize our opportunity in 2021. So thank you guys for the hard work this year. Look forward to the momentum that we seem to be having going into 2021. And like I said, happy holidays and stay safe, everyone.
Thanks, Nick. Director Pham.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo everyone else's sentiments. Wish everyone a happy holidays. And looking forward to seeing everyone next year. Thanks.
Thank you, Newton. Director Ruiz.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to say the same thing as everyone else. I wanted to thank Michelle and the staff for a job well done throughout this year. And wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. And please wear your mask. We had some infections here at the office. It put one of them in the hospital. We didn't think he was going to make it, but thank God he's doing better. He's at home now with an oxygen tank. And please take this serious. This is not a joke. This pandemic is very serious, and I just urge everyone to wear your mask. And hope to see everyone in 2021. Take care, and God bless everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. I will just ditto everyone's comments. And Robert, I very much appreciate your outreach and reminding everybody to wear masks, social distance, stay safe. I know I've been under house arrest for 10 months and I want to get out is so bad, but I also want everybody to be safe. And that's what we need to do to turn this thing around. Again, happy holidays to everyone. I want to ditto the comments relative to Michelle and the staff. This has been a tremendously challenging time for our staff and staffs everywhere. And I want to thank them for all their hard work. Thank the board for all of your hard work. And let's make sure that 2021 is a better year. So with that, if there are no further comments, I will adjourn the board meeting until January 28th, 2021.